If you're trying to figure out who's actually leading the Democrat Party right now, good luck, because the brutal truth, no one is. A fresh poll just dropped, piling on the mounting disaster for the party's image and chances. Then Kamala Harris shows up on late night TV and spits out a line so clueless, so dripping with irony, it's got everyone asking, is anyone over there even awake? And just when Democrats think they've got the economy story locked tight, boom. July's new data crashes the party narrative and flips the script in a way nobody saw coming. Let's start though with the poll that kicked all of this off. Take a listen.
At this point are historically divided. It is a complete and utter mess. It is messier than a hoarder's basement. What are we talking about here? The national early poll leader, 25% plus. Normally, that's where Democrats are. Biden was at 25% plus in 2020. Hillary Clinton was in 08 and 16. Gore was in 00 and 04. At this particular point, there is no one in the Democratic race for president who's polling at 25% plus. The water is quite warm. If you're a Democrat potentially thinking about running in 2028, jump right in, because at this point, there is no front runner.
What we're seeing isn't just a leadership vacuum in the Democrat Party. It is a full-blown identity crisis with no therapist on site. Now, the fact that no one is polling at 25% nationally either means no one wants the job, or worse, no one qualifies for it. Why? Because it's not just about the candidates, it's about the brand itself.
One of the reasons why there is no front runner, nobody wants to put anybody up at the top of their ballot list, is because at this particular point, the Democratic brand is in the basement. It is total and complete garbage in the mind of the American public. The Democratic Party's net favorable rating, record lows in all three. Wall Street Journal, 30 points underwater. CNN, 26 points underwater. Gallup, 26 points underwater. And that is being driven in large part by discontent within the Democratic base. The Democratic base wants something different. Will ultimately end up seeing who they choose. It'll be quite the thing who ultimately gets the rose.
Voters aren't just unsure who the leader is. They're not even sure what the party stands for anymore. You've got progressives and moderates at war with each other. You've got big city mayors are drowning under crime and housing crises, while rural voters haven't even heard a coherent pitch from a Democrat since the Obama era. On college campuses, there's been chaos over free speech and Israel-Palestine protests. Then in Washington, Democrats can't agree on basic policy like tariffs and immigration, and they can't even define what a woman is. I mean, you've got a party trying to be everything to everyone and ending up being nothing to anyone. It's like trying to run a band where everyone insists they're the front man, but the crowd has already left the venue. And just when you think the messaging couldn't get any worse, enter Kamala Harris, who decided it was her place to lecture Republicans about this.
Do you think, you must have some still connection to what's going on in Washington. Do you think that these people think that they can just ride out the storm and everything will be fine on the other side?
I think there are some who do. And I think that it is completely naive. I think there are a lot of people who think they're riding out the storm as an excuse to be feckless.
So Republicans supporting the policies that voters actually elected is feckless? But you spent 4 years nodding along to a president who was clearly in cognitive decline. You stayed silent while executive orders came down from the shadows. I mean, you had a front row seat to a White House being run on autopilot and said nothing. No 25th Amendment talk, no pushback, just photo ops and your awkward laughs. See, the truth is Democrats are the most lockstep party in America until the wheels start coming off. Then it's every man and woman for themselves. Now, until this party figures out who they are, what they believe in, and who's actually in charge, they're not just without a frontrunner, they're without a future. Hit that like button for me if you agree, and don't forget to share. And for those of you here for the first time, make sure you subscribe. Here's how others are reacting to last night's late night disaster.
Well, look, Kamala Harris and Stephen Colbert actually are pretty similar. Two losers, burning through money and rejected by the American people. But in all seriousness, the interview last night was a complete joke. Per usual, Kamala Harris couldn't answer basic questions like who the leader of the Democrat Party is, or even questions about her book. All we heard were excuses, complaints, and whining. And even the title of her book, 107 Days, is an excuse.
It sounds harsh, but she's not wrong. Colbert lost CBS $40 million a year because not enough people watch, so CBS canceled it. Kamala cost her donors $2 billion in just 107 days, and she lost in an electoral landslide. They were both rejected, and now they want to blame you instead of taking a hard look in the mirror. Here's the president responding to the former VP.
What do you see in her political future, sir? Well, she can't speak. She can't talk. She can't do an interview. I thought it was a very strange campaign that we had. I wouldn't call her a skilled politician.
She's also
Would you?
She's also coming out with a book. Any plans to buy it?
I don't know. I think I'm going to buy it. I'd love to see it. No.
Maybe she'll sign a copy for the president. All right, let's not forget, this is the same Kamala Harris who was handed the border crisis and responded by doing what? Absolutely nothing. She refused to go see the problem firsthand while illegals crossed, fentanyl and cartel activity exploded across the country, and in between avoiding responsibility, we got a greatest hits reel of cringy sound bites and viral gaffes. I mean, whoever's running her PR team should seriously consider a career change, because here is her latest moment lighting up the internet for all the wrong reasons.
Everyone thinks you've been kicking back, drinking margaritas on the beach. But really, you've been hard at work writing a book, meeting with leaders, thinking about the future of our country. Who said that?
The only people she's meeting with are Jim Beam and Captain Morgan. I mean, and if this is the Democrats' backup plan for 2028, Republicans might as well keep that champagne on ice. Now, while the Democrats are busy nursing their political hangovers, President Trump is making moves, this time on the global stage. The president has signed an executive order to update tariff rates for dozens of countries who have yet to reach a deal with the U.S. Under the new terms, Syria is facing the highest rate increase at 41%. Canada, not far behind, as they are bumped up to 35%. The president citing continued inaction on fentanyl traffic, among other reasons for that hike. Democrats wasting no time tearing apart these tariffs and continue their doomsday predictions. Watch this.
The Trump tariff trade war is a trade war on the American people.
The tariff regime is increasing our costs.
Why should we stand back and let the President of the United States raise taxes on Americans with these tariffs?
DNC senior advisor Tim Hogan, he released this statement today that says, quote, Donald Trump loves to brag about making deals. You would think he actually knows how to make one. Instead, Trump has spent 6 months dragging the country into his chaotic and reckless trade war. Now, the Democrats, once again, continue to fail at doing their homework. What's actually happening is the revenue coming into our country from Trump's tariffs has drastically spiked, and the U.S. collected $27 billion in June alone. Even known Trump critic, JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon is giving the president some props.
Now we kind of know, and they're more moderate and thoughtful and more carefully done, and hopefully they'll help some companies export. Maybe some people move manufacturing back here. So so far so good.
Dimon is correct. So far so good. Take a look at this. So far, 63% of S&P 500 companies have posted their second quarter results. Now, of them, 81% have beat expectations on how much money their company kept after expenses. 70% of those companies reported taking in more revenue than anticipated. Now, the second quarter earnings were expected to rise 5.8% from last year, but have nearly doubled that amount. Also, the S&P 500 hit a low back in April and has since gained more than 28% in value, and in recent weeks, it's repeatedly topped its all-time highs. And then there's this.
And in fact, not only that, but we put out a report a few weeks ago about how imported goods were actually getting cheaper relative to domestically produced goods.
Now, with that said, the White House is now digesting some new government data that shows a potentially weakening labor market. The data released today shows the unemployment rate is still above just 4%. Those numbers not up sharply from the month prior, where we saw more jobs added, 73,000 in the last month, which is fewer than what economists were expecting. President Trump is now calling for the firing of the Commissioner of Labor Statistics, who is a Biden appointee. The president writes on Truth Social today, quote, "This is the same Bureau of Labor Statistics that overstated the jobs growth in March of 2024 by approximately 818,000, and then again, right before the 2024 presidential election in August and September by 112,000. These were records. No one can be that wrong. We need accurate job numbers. I've directed my team to fire this Biden political appointee immediately. She will be replaced with someone much more competent and qualified." CNN explains it like this.
More important than the July report that was 73,000 jobs that were added, it was the revisions to May and June, revising downward by nearly 250,000 jobs that clearly stoked the president's anger. we have seen these revisions before. And one reason that job reports are revised month by month, because an initial survey is sent out, and that's what is initially reported, and then a deeper analysis is done of state unemployment reports and other surveys of businesses, and that is what produces the revised report. And we've seen presidents of both parties sort of burned and angry by these.
The president is also fed up with Fed Chair Jerome Powell. The president taking to Truth Social again today, writing, quote, "Jerome Too Late Powell, a stubborn moron, must substantially lower interest rates now. If he continues to refuse, the board should assume control and do what everyone knows has to be done." Now, President Trump's counselor to the Treasury Secretary, Joe Lavorna, says interest rates are high by the Federal Reserve's own estimates.
If you look at where the Fed thinks the neutral rate is, in other words, the rate that will neither help the economy up nor push it down, we are well above where the Fed thinks those rates should be. So by their own definition, interest rates are too high. They're holding the economy back, and certainly they're weighing on housing. If you look at financial markets, they anticipate an interest rate cut in September. They anticipate multiple interest rate cuts, similar to what the president's saying. So we'll see what happens. But certainly from an inflation perspective, the Fed's own work, interest rates, one can make a very powerful economic argument they should be substantially lower.
Even leftist Axios economic correspondent Neil Irwin says the Fed should probably have cut rates this week.
This is the first hard data we've seen that suggests real economic weakening. We've seen survey data over the last few months that suggested worries and fears out there, but this is more real, and this is something that suggests there is a meaningful slowdown happening in the economy. I wonder if the Federal Reserve, which left interest rates steady 2 days ago, if they had this number in hand, if they might have done something a little differently. Already there were a couple of dissenters saying they wanted to cut rates a couple days ago. Now it looks like they probably will cut rates in September.
I am also hearing there will be a rate cut in September. In fact, I've also heard there could be a couple of cuts. So we will continue to watch for any of those developments, and I will bring you any other breaking news as I receive it. Until then, check out this next episode where I expose shocking evidence found in burn bags in a secret room at FBI headquarters. And it all links George Soros to Hillary Clinton's Russia hoax. It's good. Can't make this stuff up. Go ahead, click on that video you see now on your screen, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching.